Hello everyone from my side too. Thanks Matthias for introducing and moderating our today's webinar. I will do a very quick introduction of Blumatix and my person. We'll then hand over to Sven, who will show us the Nintext platform and a live demo. And later in the webinar, I will show how the AI basically works and what advantages such a solution has. My name is Martin Loiperdinger. I am CEO of Blumatix Intelligence. We are an AI company based in Salzburg. And from here, we develop and operate our Blue Delta service for our international customers. We basically started in 2010 and have been focusing on document processing since 2016 and always based on the latest AI technology. So this is really crucial. But before I go into more details, I'd like to hand over to Sven and ask you to introduce the Nintex local, first of all, of course, yourself, then the Nintex local platform.
Yeah, thank you very much, Martin, and thank you, Matthias. The interesting part here is really why we thought it's a great opportunity to have a conversation with an AI company like Blue Delta and with us, because it's so quite interesting to see what can no-code and AI do together. I think Matthias already mentioned that at the beginning. We have all problems of resources, capabilities, alignment. So we all have the struggle to digital transform. And before we start and go deep into Nintex and also what we did with Blumatix, let me just give you a short overview about our software company so that you know where we come from. So Nintex is a platform for process management. Nintex was founded in Australia 2006 and is now headquarters in Seattle. We have, of course, also a European headquarter in London. We have about 1,000 employees. And what we do is we try to build a platform which is easy to use, powerful, and complete. And what you see right there is something what is now interesting with all together. So we try to build software that is easy to use for your side. So what we can do is we have a module who have the possibility to discover processes, map processes, build workflows, generate documents. But what we see today, which is quite interesting also regarding to other platforms, is the integration point of view. And this is also where Blumatix coming into the place. The interesting part on workflow software, on local platforms, are that we can integrate with other platforms. And that's so great because it's very important after, if you're talking about a finance process, we want to read out an invoice, a document, and then what then? We need to approve it. We need to guide it to, for example, a financial software like SAP or something else. But from the slide at the beginning where I said we have this kind of lack of alignment and also the problem of building stuff at the moment due to time and due to employees, we need to do it fast. So if you have a process, we want to build it very fast. And that's why the integration with, for example, an AI system and a workflow system is quite interesting. And that's what we built here. So what we try to achieve is, of course, a small demo for you that you can see how easy it is to integrate Blumatix into our environment, and also to see how cool it is, how easy it is, and also how fast it is to get data from it. And the other point is what you definitely see also in the demo is how we build that. So it is a little bit technical, but not so much. But I think it's a quite interesting approach to see how you could change your processes in your company. Okay, so what I will do now is I will share my screen And then you will see a browser with my application. So just give me a minute. And you should see now a workflow environment, right? Yeah, I see it on the screen. So because we don't have so much time, I definitely go directly deep into the environment. So very important is what you now see is our workflow canvas. Yeah, so the workflow canvas is the application where you draw your workflows. And when I say draw, I mean it like I said it. So if I drag and drop, for example, an action right to the canvas, I can start directly programming or developing it. So what we not do is you don't need to write code. You can, but it's not necessary. So it's a really slow start and really basic start for everyone who wants to get to it. And what we built here is something what you saw on the slide before with the integration. So Blumatix is a really, really great software company, which have not only a great technology to read out documents, they also have the possibility to have a simple integration. So what we do in our Nintex environment is that we try to use modern technologies to integrate. And now it's getting a little bit technical, but I think it's interesting. So what we need is a Swagger file. What we need is a Swagger environment, a JSON web service environment to get an integration to other third-party environments. There are software development companies who do it a little bit, but Blumatix, for example, had this directly out of the box. So the integration of this part was, I think, a day to implement it quite well. Yeah? So it was set up in 10 minutes, but of course, you know, all working in software, 10 minutes is a good POC, but definitely not something for production. So we built that for production. And the interesting part now is if you're talking about workflow design, you want to, if you have a big team who building workflows in your company, for example, not only one person, it is necessary that you can use this again. So this is also the interesting part on our integration setup is that you can reuse it. So if you import a third-party application or like the Blumatix AI environment, it's already on the action side on the left side. So as you saw at the beginning, after the drag and drop of the assigning a task, the integrations are appearing right here. And that's quite great because someone who is not familiar, for example, with configuring, for example, an AI system or the implementation of something else, for them, we did it really easy. We just have the drag and drop environment and then it's here. But of course, reading our documents in a workflow is of course nothing where a user would start from. So normally the user starts with scanning a document or maybe also having a form where you just drag and drop the document, for example. And that's what we built here. It's just a technology demo. It's nothing what would be in the production, but I think it gives you a sense of how we normally work. So we choose start event form. So what we can do with Nintex in this case is we can design a form. This form can just design by drag and drop. What I did here is it's a very simple one. We said we have a file upload field where you can drag and drop your file. And what we need is to insert an email where you want that the document goes after the recognition of the document of the Blumatix environment. And that's something what we built here. So, but maybe you already think, why do they need to insert an email address? this is a really basic form. What we normally do in a production environment, we read out the email from the login. We could add, for example, the management thing from the Active Directory, so that is directly goes to the team manager if it's necessary. We could do a lot of things, getting data, external data from, for example, SAP. Sure, we have an enterprise-ready software, but of course, as a simple testing, we choose that. Okay. One more important part of this application: all of these applications are mobile-ready, responsive, right? You don't need to change settings if you want to have a look on a mobile device. It will work on an iPhone, on an Android. But the interesting part is, and that's something what many people using, it also working on very small devices like on a machine display. Yeah, we have customers who are using our application to submit tasks on a real manufacturing machine. Yeah, it's working. So you don't need to have a look on how is the layout. It simply works. And that's a great idea, I think. Okay, next step is a little bit technical in this case, because we want to use now the document here and want to extract the invoice. And the interesting part is now, if we're thinking of working with documents and you live in the European Union, you want to store the file somewhere. Yeah, you want to archive the document somewhere. So what we normally do is, first of all, we store a file. Now you see this is in Box, right? It's an idea of myself. We don't need to use Box. We could also use SharePoint. So we have a great environment here on the left side where we can work with SharePoint. We can save this to a document library, all fine, right? And then what we do, this document should be extracted. And the only thing what we built here, and that's why we said, okay, it's not, it was not set up in 10 minutes because we want to have it straight and really good for production. We just say, okay, this file invoice should be now go to the extraction. And what is now happening is that really the Blumatix API will fire it, and then the magic happens in the background with the AI, with the extraction of the invoices. So what we did now is we have also an output environment here. So if you have, for example, integration with an input, definitely there are data which coming out. In an invoicing extraction process, of course, the data of the application. And what we built here, we have an object structure which coming out. This is something what you can develop if you like. And with this structure, it's quite easy to get data from the extraction. Yeah? And we built a few validations here. For example, run if true is something what you maybe are familiar with. So if, for example, the quality of the document is true, is okay, then we get the quality of the document in a Unicode variable, which is quite interesting. So you can work with Unicode in our application, but this is just an idea. And I will use this later in some text. Right? So this is also one which I found very interesting, also from the AI perspective, because this is quite interesting. So if you work with documents a lot, you maybe have this interesting documents which you maybe get from people, yeah, because they are in the pocket and so on, and it's quite necessary to say if the quality of the document is good to reading, or if it's just hang out 2 weeks in the pockets and it's not really readable, and you can do things with it. And I think that's also something about low-code which comes into place now. We can add this kind of actions quite well. So if, for example, you have an extraction workflow and you feel after 2 weeks, we could do a lot of things more in the workflow. You can simply change things in the workflow, publish it, and it's done. Yeah. So it's really easy to have one step in the production. One step in the process design removed or ads. And maybe you already saw some of our information on the back. We have, of course, versioning. And the interesting part on this is, of course, we can get back to a version. Yeah? So you see I played a lot around here. And if I say, OK, I want to go back to the version of 6, I can. And it's creating a new workflow. And you can start right away with a different environment. So it's great just to give you an idea. If you normally think of finance workflows, they are quite, of course, important. And it's sometimes a little bit difficult to change this kind of workflows if you need something. Yeah. Next step, what we do is we go to approval. All right. And you already see here are some German words, and I didn't left that because I was lazy. No, I want to show you how easy it is to change, for example. I can just say change approval. You can also say, see, I have a spelling mistake here. And so you see everything from this kind of place is working, and you will not break the workflow. So it's quite easy and also easy for people who are new to the business to have this on the mind. So again, what we now already have is the extraction. And the extraction of the document needs to be approved. And there's also another loop here, which is quite interesting. I come to this a little bit later. But in this loop, we discovered that this document is fine to go to approval, right? So, and what's now happening here is we wrote a subject to people that they know what they have to do. Please check the document and so on. And if you do that, the form looks like this. So what we now had here, and I will show that later in this, because this is a predefined document what I uploaded at the beginning, but you will see that later. I will do that live. So you see there's a form, and the form got the email address, the invoice number, and also get the quality and the document. So, and let me just show you what I've done. So I can go to workflow testing. That's also one very interesting part here. I just simply go and can test the workflow. It's not counting any license. That's very important. I can select the file now here, and I'm using a very interesting UK-ish invoice. So it's an invoice about a flight in next week. And you see there are, well, it's definitely nothing what I would say German, an eye of a human can definitely see if it's not familiar with this kind of invoices. For the UK, we have a different VATs, totals, and so on. So it's quite difficult to see that. But let's see what the AI is doing. So what's now happening? It's going through the workflow. Again, this is a workflow testing. So this is very important that you can just see if you're building this kind of workflows, how it's going. And if I now click on refresh, what you can see the steps. So the first step is store a file. We are waiting for Box at the moment to save this document. And we will see in a minute that we will also generate a task. So the storing of the file is taking a little bit longer, but what I will show you in the meantime is also the mail, what we normally got. So what you saw is the form, and we can also send people an email, also with an attachment if necessary. Yeah, so you don't need to search for this document. But what you can also do, maybe you remember the form what I showed you a few minutes ago with the link to the document. So we can also link to a document. And I think at the end of this year or quarter, the next Q1 next year, we have also the possibility to add JavaScript on our forms, and then we are also able to add the picture directly into our workflow form. So this is something which is quite great. So the next step is now we were successfully shared the link, saved the document, and now we're going to the extraction. And that took a little, in this case, a little bit, not because of the AI, because I built a small loop to get every data from it, just for testing purpose. So you see there's a small loop, and it's now going through all of the document information that I get the document type, the invoice ID, invoice date, and much more. There's much more data coming out of the AI, but I used only currency, grand total, and all this stuff. So, and now in the meantime, I already received an email with the information. And the next step is also, which I found quite interesting, I can also go to complete the form. And you see now the document, and I can open the link, and I can click on approve, validate, and cancel. And the interesting part on this is definitely we can work with every information on this document. So it gets the document type, it's get the quality. We have also the possibility to add data and see if this is a registered vendor, for example. We can do a lot of things with it. And if I submit it, it will be now approved, and we're going through the workflow. Yeah? So workflow testing is a very important part on this, and it's a great opportunity. And the interesting thing here is now we not only have this quite easy to build up, because the workflow implementation is quite straight away. But with this data from Blumatix, there's a lot of countless ideas what could be done in the workflow in this case. Yeah. Okay. I would say first of all, that's all from the Nintex Automation Cloud's demo. It's, I think, quite clear how we work in this kind of low-code environment. But I think it's not quite clear how easy the implementation or also the work of the extraction. And that's why I would like to give the mic to Martin to give us a little bit more insight into the environment, what we're using in the background to recognize documents.
Okay, thank you, Sven, from my side for that interesting insight, how easy it is to set up an accounts payable process in that case, how huge the function ready to start library of Nintex platform is, and how useful it is to implement such a ready to start process, and how easy it is to start from the very first beginning. Thank you for that. I guess we are back on the slides. So Martin, maybe you can give us some more information why AI reaches such good results in these days, and what is the contribution of Blumatix intelligence for that?
Yes, thank you, Matthias. Thank you also, Sven, for your live demo. It's really always cool to see the easiness and the synergies of our two systems. I will now continue and show you some of the specifics and advantages of an AI system for document processing. And therefore, I'd like to start with a comparison of the classic solution approach with the new modern one based on AI. So in the last 10 years, there have been great advances, or let's say 10 to 15 years, there have been great advances in the field of AI, which also led to a paradigm shift in how documents are processed. The paradigm shift can be described as learning by heart versus understanding. But what does learning by heart in that context mean? So based on an incoming invoice from a supplier, a human considers how this document can be processed automatically. To do this, he recognizes a pattern on the document based on coordinates of the value sort or keywords, and creates on this basis one template for exactly this supplier. If a new document is received from the same supplier, then this template can be used to process this document automatically. And this approach leads to one template per supplier, and usually this is done by every company separately. So as you can imagine, this leads to a huge initial effort to set up the project, and of course ongoing efforts when a new supplier is added or an existing one changes its layouts, its invoice layout. Well, to be honest, nobody talks about templates anymore, but the core of these solutions is still the same today. Classic solutions remember specific properties for each supplier, and that's why we call it learning by heart. Marketing usually says you have to train a new supplier 3 to 5 times until the system can process him. I say if that were true, sooner or later all customers would be at around about 100% automation. You can believe me, the reality is different. So what has changed since around about 2015? The new approach no longer learns by heart, but it understands the documents, just like we humans do. When we process an invoice, then nobody has to show us beforehand how one specific document is structured so that we can learn it by heart. No, we understand based on our experience the document structure and the content's meanings. And this is similar how a modern approach based on AI works. This is basically how our Blue Delta service works as well. The system learns from examples. That is the experience. Examples are invoices plus the ground truth. The ground truth is the correct data for these invoices, so the expected values. The AI is trained using many different examples, the more the better, together with the ground truth, and learns, not by heart, as I said, but general patterns. So it no longer learns by heart, but it learns how invoices are generally structured. And it learns not only from structure, but also from semantics. So it combines both areas, the structure of the document, usually we're talking about semi-structured documents when processing invoices, and the text semantics. And later in production, when training has finished, in production, these rules can be applied to new invoices that the AI has never seen before, and it allows the system to process completely unknown invoices, even from new suppliers, very well. Out of the box without any effort for the customer, neither initially nor ongoing. So this is the paradigm shift. So not learning by heart any longer, but understand the documents, similar as we humans do. Blue Delta is set up as a shared intelligence. This means that all of our customers use the same models. There is no specific model for our customers, like, for example, Red Bull, Porsche, Strabag, and many others. They all use the same intelligence. We could, of course, use individual models per customer, but it is usually not necessary. And this approach has several advantages. So basically, one of the biggest advantages is the models themselves, the AI models, are trained using examples not only from one customer and his suppliers, but from all of our customers and their suppliers. So the intelligence benefits from this and becomes better than if we were to train it separately for each customer. So everyone benefits from everyone, which is also a community thought in that case. The system, of course, is 100% future-proof, so customers don't have to worry about their optimizations being lost with a new update. And Blue Delta, using Blue Delta in a productive environment is as easy as shown here. So you just send a PDF invoice, marked as unstructured here, and seconds later you get the relevant content back in a structured format. This is usually a JSON format. That's it. The rest of the process, so the entire learning process, which you can see here below and to the right, that's up to us. So we are constantly improving the system by receiving examples from all of our customers, or at least from them who are willing to provide samples for training. We are preparing those data, the example documents together with the data. We prepare this for training. We train the AI models, we benchmark it, and we deploy the updated models to the cloud so that all of our customers benefit from the better quality. And benchmarking is very important, so we automatically measure the quality of the new models to ensure that the service gets better for all customers. This is our promise, without creating any effort on customer side. To sum up the most important key facts of Blue Delta, so it is basically an AI which is optimized for financial documents right now. It is ready to use. Currently, we support around about 40 or more than 40 data fields already. As Sven mentioned before, there is a lot more data than he evaluated for the demo case. We process header and line item data from invoices. Line items are not required for every use case. And honestly, extracting them is more complex than header data. But basically, we follow the same approach here as well. The service is ready to use also for line items. It doesn't require any project, and it delivers a data quality that creates added value for the customer from day one. We support both cloud and on-premise environment. As a REST API, Blue Delta can be seamlessly integrated into existing workflows. That's what Sven mentioned before as well. And optionally, we also offer user experience for validation. But 90% of our use cases is just the API and in the cloud. It is plug and play. There is no setup project required, no maintenance efforts for our customers. It is a shared intelligence. We already had that. There are ongoing improvements without any efforts. We already have that as well. So we take care that the system gets better and better over the time. And this means absolutely no effort for our customers. Of course, it is GDPR compliant and designed for high performance and for large data volumes. We are processing about 20 million invoices productively this year and definitely significantly more in the next year. And the system is used by renowned customers. I mentioned a few already before. One of them is Porsche Informatik, which uses, for example, Blue Delta for the Volkswagen retail sector. Okay. Sorry, there's one slide missing. Doesn't matter. Usually, solution providers often demonstrate the system capabilities based on prepared documents. We don't do that because it says nothing about the quality of the solution. Of course, the prepared documents would work. We instead invite you to test Blue Delta with your own invoices. You can easily try this on our website under trial.bluedelta.de. And basically, the website is intended for a simple test with a few invoices. If you want to test more, we're happy to give you free access to the API directly, of course. So feel free to contact us. The contact details can be found here. We look forward to your questions now, but also later, of course. We are always open for conversations and discussions. Now I have to say thank you for your attention, and I'd like to give back to Matthias. And I'm happy to answer any questions right now, of course, as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you very much, Sven, as well. Thank you, Martin, to give us more details in AI progress and what does it mean for users' benefits, especially from the efforts of paradigm shift and shared intelligence, how it is set up with Blumatix. Martin, I know you're a modest guy, and one thing I want to point out a little bit, because I read it yesterday evening in the social media channels. You mentioned it by the way, but as far as I got it yesterday evening, you had really a breakthrough at Blumatix Intelligence, more than 20 million documents processed a couple of months ahead to schedule. And yeah, it is incredible, more than a $750 million of document value. So congratulations for that.
Thank you, Matthias.
Yeah. Now we ask you to send us more questions. Take the chance to ask what is important for you. And meanwhile, I will start to pick the first ones that I have already received. So one of the questions is how fast such a process can be integrated from start. I guess, Sven, this is a question for you.
Yeah. This is a very good question. So the problem in this case is always, I could now say, one day, right? So it's quite easy to just have a really simple process, but of course that's not all. So normally what you do in the financial process, it's up to 2 weeks, then it is definitely done. It's still incredible fast in this case, but what I mean if I say 2 weeks, this is have something to do with documentation, permissions, server-side things like SharePoint. All of these things have to be in mind, and so this is the approach what we normally see. And if you work with no-code and low-code, you still have the things of changing your process because someone's saying, okay, we need to have a change, right? Mm-hmm. Well, 2 weeks is, I think, for financial processes is a good way.
Okay. Another one which refers a little bit to that is, in which business departments do you see the application of low-code, no-code? Do you see this topic more in professional area or centralized in IT?
No, we have both. So normally the application is used in every department. It will not only build in the IT. We have a lot of customers who having power users who are using our application in their department, which is a great effort because the people in the department know the process really well and they don't have this kind of problem to have this communication break, talking about with the IT, which kind of thing is the best. So we have a lot of customers who building the workflows from the department. We have also a nice function in the Nintex Automation Cloud, which allows the power users to publish the workflow, and it then get the approval from the IT. If the IT approves it, if the Active Directory connections are correct, and so on and so forth. So this kind of things are possible. Talking about where this application normally get used, and that's something very easy to say. So in every department, every company. So we have that on frontline workers. We have that with financial departments. Everywhere you can find this application in the company.
Okay, thank you, Sven. Another question, do you also offer the OCR AI reading documents for orders, like orders in PDF, SAP, orders, etc.? Martin, I guess it's a question for you.
Yes, that's a very good question. Basically, Blue Delta, as it is right now, is optimized for invoices, and there was our focus for a long time. But we are opening Blue Delta right now these days for additional documents like orders, delivery notes, and others. Basically, the important thing is Blue Delta itself and the AI behind it is document agnostic. That means we are able to use the same approach for different types of documents. It only depends on the data by which it has been or it is trained. And if we train it, for example, with orders, then it is able to process orders. So that's definitely something that will come over the next months. We have very concrete projects in our pipeline from existing and new customers which are asking exactly for processing orders and delivery notes, and that's something that will come definitely.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Another one is there a type of invoice monitor available? Martin, I guess this is it's a question for you as well.
So I guess you mean the user experience that I mentioned before. So in most scenarios, basically Blue Delta is integrated as a pure API without any user experience. The reason for this is that the user experience is usually already available in the process that embeds us. Yeah? So we are one component for different processes. Those processes usually have an existing user experience, which is then usually just pre-assigned with our values. Yeah, this has the great advantage of a seamless and easy integration into existing processes, which of course is important for us as well. And it especially requires no change in the environment which the user is already familiar with. However, basically we offer optionally our own user experience as well, which is quite simple, and it is used to validate the results that the AI is not sure about. So only documents which needs a manual verification are displayed there. But, and this is important, we follow a clear strategy. The user experience is never an end in itself, but only necessary because the AI is not yet perfect. Yeah? So it does not deliver 100% accurate and correct values. And this is reflected by the name of our user experience. We call it RIP-I. So RIP for rest in peace, and I for the visual inspection. And this is important for us because this name expresses that we are basically working on a system that will be able to process all relevant business documents without any human interaction. Until or as long as human interaction is required, we will provide a user experience, but our goal is that we don't need it any longer.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Another one that received us, what are the steps in succeeding with low-code processes? When I guess this is a question for you.
Yeah. That's also a quite interesting question. So again, if you develop an application from scratch, and you have always a problem that you have to maintain this, maintain after code, you have to versionize the code and all this stuff. And also, if you have this kind of low-code environment, it is made for fast building workflows, fast building forms, so you don't have the problems to have a software error, to have the problem to go back to a version. It's right in the system, and for many processes, this is built for an easy way to see how the workflows are going. Yeah.
Okay. And at present, the last question received, maybe you take the chance to send us some more, which is quite really an interesting, I would say, because it refers to that master data issue you mentioned, Sven. But I want to ask Martin, maybe you can answer that. How would AI react to new business partners? For example, suppliers, would the business partner be created automatically? What is your experience here? Have you some experiences like this from your customer base?
Yes, we have. So basically, that's an important question because it's something that all of our customers have to deal with. Basically, it depends on the process, not on us, to be honest. Yeah, because Blue Delta just delivers the values out of the document as accurate as possible in a structured format, and it provides it for the subsequent process. A new supplier, a new business partner has to be created out of the process if it should happen automatically, which is usually not the case, to be honest. So I know not one case where a new partner is created automatically without being checked by the department. So our values usually serve as a suggestion for creating a new entry in the master data, but it's always part of the process, and usually this not happens without a manual check and a validation. But it can simplify, of course, the process of creation because we deliver all data required in order to create a new supplier or a new business partner. But you need, of course, some final check before you use it in your live system.
Okay, that means extracting the data, providing the data, and then maybe it's up to the professionals to decide whether to take over or not.
Exactly. Our focus really is on the document itself and on understanding what's written and printed on the document. Yeah, it begins by classifying documents and understanding what type of documents do we have here and what is the most important information on this document. That's what we are doing right now with invoices, will also be available and done in future for other documents. But okay. Same focus, yeah, extracting and classifying documents out of the box without any efforts for our customers.
Thank you, Martin, for that detailed information. So no more questions at present. Of course, please feel free if you have some questions after the webinar. Yeah, it's a great pleasure for us. Please get in contact with us, send us your questions if you need some more details, if you want to have some more details. So finally, thank you very much to the audience for participating in our webinar. Thank you very much, Sven and Martin. Thank you very much, Sven, because we know you participate this morning, though even you are a little bit sick. Thank you very much to be part of this webinar. And yeah, I wish you a good day, and thank you very much for participating.
So thank you also from my side. Thank you, Matthias, for moderating this webinar. Thank you for all participants. I hope it was interesting for you. Thanks, Sven, for your presentation, and all the best for you. Yeah, and also a nice day from my side.
Okay, so have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.